Hello and welcome to the Full Circle podcast. Welcome to Trinity Chapel in Brackenfield. We're in the Peaks today for our extra slice of the podcast recording. We're all here today. You can see Kathie in the background, and let's go round the circle. So, good evening, Glenn. How are you?
Good evening, Phil. I'm very well, thank you. It's an absolute privilege to be here. Never been here myself before, and isn't it a wonderful opportunity to be doing this today outside and hearing the sheep in the background there.
Yeah, so we have got visitors in the field next to us as well. So, we've got a few distractions around us, haven't we, today?
Definitely.
Julie's here
I'm
as
here.
well.
Hello.
Hello, Julie.
How are you, Julie?
I'm all right. So I'm the camerawoman today.
Yes, yeah.
It's also very peaceful here, so I'm enjoying it already.
Brilliant. And then this evening, because it's such a special place, and we wanted to bring a couple of our special guests with us. We've got a few. We've got two extra people today. So please welcome Kathie. Kathie, say hi.
Hi.
Kathie's here with us this evening for we're going to be talking about forest bathing as well. And Kathie has very kindly offered to do us a forest bathing meditation while we're here. So thank you, Kathie, for that. Come and stand in so people can see your fabulous hair and your fringe today. Kathie's had a haircut today.
I think the word volunteered needs to be perhaps amended slightly.
Okay.
I was just asked to do it as I arrived. I believed I was just coming as an additional help. I thought I was camera lady. So yes, it will be definitely an on-the-spot meditation. Thank you very much.
Very organic.
You're welcome.
Very organic. Very
And then
natural.
if we can pan straight round to our other very special guest, we have got Angie with us.
Ooh. And we couldn't be camera lady because we haven't got wellies.
No.
We've got pixels, haven't we, Kathie?
Yes.
So, hi, everybody.
So, Angie, we've been here a few years ago together, haven't we?
We did, yeah.
Leave the camera on, Angie, for a bit.
Thank you.
No, in fact, shall I come round? Can I get round?
It's a bit like a
I'm gonna have to
maypole
try
with a
and
tripod and the wires.
We've got the tripod. We've got the tripod in the way. My man boob got on the camera then as well, so let's get a
bigger
bit
than mine.
So we've talked about my Reiki masters before, so we won't go into that. But this is actually where me and Angie came to do my Reiki masters. Sat on the stone down there where Kathie is actually. Kathie is pretty much dead on the portal there, aren't you, Kathie? Mm. So feeling those energies. Can you feel the energies?
Yes,
If
definitely.
she disappears, we're going to go find her.
Yes.
Now, Angie, you've already been talking to a few energies around this evening, haven't you?
Yeah, just you just see them and sense them and feel them and have a little chat and say why you're here and be respectful and bring a gift as well.
Yeah.
We've brought some wild, what have I brought? Sweet peas, the traditional English ones that
We've got some incense as well, haven't we?
We've got incense, we've got all sorts in the bag, including sweeties and goodies.
Oh, yum, yum. My favourite.
Yeah, so yes, it's last time we came there were very few leaves on the trees. We've actually got recordings of the it was quite windy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we've got recordings of the pine trees actually banging together, and
It was almost like, I don't know if you can pan up and look at and just show the trees above. Can it go up, Glenn, or
Of course, yeah.
can it go up? Because that's not a technical term, is it?
it is for us.
So if you look at the trees, they are really quite still this evening. But the last time we were here, they were really smashing together, weren't
It was
they?
very, very windy, but it seemed it sort of settled down. It wasn't windy in the chapel itself. It was outside, and then after we finished, I can recall it. The wind stopped, and we had a little walk round, didn't we? And we found some owl feathers that weren't there an hour earlier. and it was sort of daytime, so it's quite bright, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
How long
yeah.
ago was that then?
I think he said 2015, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
So
14, 15, I
yeah,
think.
it was
Yeah,
quite a
yeah,
while ago. Yeah,
yeah.
It's very peaceful. It's lovely.
it is.
Sounds
It's
gorgeous.
lovely, and
So originally, this was a Druid church,
Right.
and you can read about that. You can read about that on the internet, and then it was rebuilt or built around by the Church of England. Now the Church of England now for Brackenfield is just down the hill. We drove by that as we came.
Yeah.
So we've felt different energies all the time. In Kathie, you said earlier on, didn't you, that actually you felt the energy of the lady that we felt last time, that it was almost like she'd come with harvest gifts last time we were saying, didn't we?
Yeah, loads.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, as I'm stood here, I'm starting to sway in a clockwise direction for some reason. I know the energy's causing me to do this. Did you two experience this when you was here last time?
You're right on the
ley lines
where
of
the
it.
ley lines are crossing here, Glenn, as well.
Okay. It's very subtle. It doesn't feel intimidating at all.
I felt like I was just
As
falling
yet,
forward then. Like that.
but I can now feel energy building up in the top of my head, trying to make me a little bit dizzy. So I'm just going to ask it to step back for the latter part of the show. But yeah, very interesting indeed. Oh, I just felt some energy go to my heart chakra there as well. Now I'm being pushed back. Being pushed back outside of this perimeter area. So obviously that's to keep me from interacting with it till the end.
You felt a few different energies, Ange, when you walked in, didn't you?
oh, when we came up the hill,
Yeah.
it's almost like it was a lot of elemental type energies, and then it was almost felt like they knew we were coming, which often they do know you're coming, and we will do work while we're here anyway.
Yeah.
Kathie's been around, I've been round, and you know, it's just at the moment, because the situation in the planet and that we need to take love everywhere we go, you know, and channel that love and power and healing through our channels. We're all different, higher order, whoever you work for.
We're all doing
It doesn't
different
matter
things.
where you go. These sacred sites carry so much vibration, and because of the negative, it's targeting them obviously. So we need to help charge them up as well. It's a bit like charging the pyramid, and it's no different. Just give the energy. You know, we're here to give, not take, which is what we said when we came through the gate.
Yeah.
There was somebody who asking who we were, why we were here. They were a little bit grumpy, but as stated that we were here with good intentions to give, not to take.
I feel that sometimes people don't come up here with the right intentions.
No, we've noticed that, and we're walking around broken beer bottles, and they've obviously had bonfires, and it's left messy, whereas you shouldn't do that. You should respect these places, respect the ancestors, you know, and
I think overall, over the years that we've been coming up here, I wonder actually how many crystals are now in these walls, because very often when I come, find a little hole in the wall and put a crystal in.
Have you? Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Oh, we'll have to look for those.
Yeah.
So there's very
Crystal,
often like
treasure
little crystals in the gaps as well.
Marvellous.
Do you feel any other energies, Kathie, up here at the minute?
The one that I always pick up on every time. Sorry, the one that I always pick up on every time I come here is, I said, that little old lady.
Yeah.
I always pick up on her. I don't feel she's an ancient energy. I do feel she's more like agricultural / industrial revolution, quite a recent energy, by the way she's dressed. Probably travelling Romany type lady, but she's always bringing a basket with her. And you said you picked up on it too, Ange, didn't you? That she had like a wicker basket and there's loaves in it. So I'm assuming she's coming from what was the village down there, coming to the church to bring loaves, which were used as alms for the poor. And if we think about the quite recent industrial history and agricultural revolution, there would have been a lot of poverty in this area. A lot of people out of work labourers. So that would fit in, wouldn't it, with what we know of the history of this area. But I always see her, whenever I come, I just sort of see her walking past. The same lady walking past. So I think that energy is still here, that echo. And it's very kind and it's very peaceful. And I think I don't know whether it serves as a reminder, reiterating what Ange says, that we're here to give, that it's all about giving. It's about giving to those less fortunate, and it's about whether we do that via our work or just by notice acts of kindness wherever we go, because that's what alms were. Alms were originally acts of kindness. You never expected repayment from it. Your payment was that gratitude that you had enough to be able to give and share with others. That's the energies and messages I got today.
And then, of course, when the other person could help, they would help as well.
Yeah, like the pay it forward.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like
so.
bartering as well, exchanging goods
Yes,
for services.
exactly. Yeah. In fact, just a little funny aside on that, last time we came up, and I noticed it this time, not only has the old lady got bread in a basket, but she's also been foraging. So there's also like mushrooms and things. So it's almost like as she comes here, she's taking back something for herself from the woods to take back with her that she will use, you know, for meals, you know. So I picked that up too. So the energies today just feel very calm.
Yeah.
Very, very calm compared to how they have been in the past. And very nurturing. I feel like it's a time of rest. But we've talked about that a lot. There's been a time of rest and hibernation for us.
It's actually got noisier in the last 10
I
minutes.
was just saying
that. The crows are coming in, the cows are
I was just about to say, have you
calling,
noticed that the
animals,
nature and the animals are
They're
starting
stirring,
to
aren't they?
talk more to each other?
What would you say the message is with the crow? Do you think a message has come in there with the crow?
I have an affinity with crow. I know lots of people do, but for me it's something very special in my heart, and it's a personal thing, I think, really, because as I understand it, crow is a walk between worlds. It can be, you know, and both that magic and also it's just really difficult to describe. It's just a feeling in my heart. I've always loved crows. I get quite upset when I see them on the road and things, and I just, you know, I know farmers don't like them, and a lot of farmers don't, and people are not always keen, but I think for me, I mean, I think I told you a story with crows saved my life anyway. A few years ago.
Haven't you, about
Yeah, we've done a song on one of our up and coming albums. It's a story of Crow, because the story was that originally Crow was white, and the story goes in ours that he was warning the buffalo because he was being naughty and cheeky, that the hunter was nearby, and of course the hunters, long story short, was like, well, you know, we're going to starve, and so Shaman decided Crow had to be caught, and they cast him in the flames in this song, but he actually Father Sky saves him, and he's on the and he falls through a puddle because he's liking his new looks. He says, hey, I'm black, I'm not white. He's been really cocky all the way through, and then Father Sky sort of the next morning says, lift your head, you daft thing, you know, your magic and light, and then he helps the hunters and helps the tribes to get enough food by telling them where the buffalo is. So it's quite a nice story. It's a very long one, isn't it? But it's very catchy. But no, I just love crows. They tell, for me, it tells me things. So
What I like about this place is that nature always finds a way of taking it back. Although it's been derelict for many years, you can see that, you know, all the greenery and that, the moss has taken it back. You know, with the ivy up there.
See the belt.
And and also I find fascinating is that churches and religious places are built on ley lines, and they form part of an energetic grid around the earth plane, almost like the internet before it was internet, you know, so people would communicate using this, and also the stone circle system as well, which tapped into it as well. So cultures the other side of the globe, they receive technology via this grid system, even though they'd never met the other cultures, the other side of the world. And so I find that all fascinating. And so it'd be interesting a little bit later during this episode to see if we can tap into this ley line and see if we can.
If you think about where we are, I suppose, if you think about where we are in relation to Matlock, because we are probably about 10 minutes away from Matlock, really.
Yeah.
So that grid on the ley lines here are actually quite close to Daltor, the Nine Ladies, Stone Circle, Arbor Low as well. So we're quite close to those stone circles on the ley lines there.
That's interesting, isn't it? How it all ties in.
Yeah.
Yes,
Earlier on.
Kathie?
Sorry, Kathie.
And also, I think following on from that, the ancients recognised the energies here, and this was originally a Druid sacred site. I know Phil's touched on that, but the fact that this was a sacred site pre-Christianity, and then obviously in the 11th, 12th century, in the Middle Ages, there was an old stone chapel here, and that they recognised the energies, recognised this was a sacred site, and built that. And then obviously when that went down, this was then built, was it the 15th century? This was rebuilt, so it was around the time of the Civil War that this was rebuilt again as a church.
No, you've just mentioned the Civil War, and I don't know if you can remember, Ange.
I remember.
From my masters when we were here last time, you actually picked up on a past life here from when I was a Druid priest, but actually on a relationship that I had during that Civil War, from the other side, from the other side of the civil horse.
Oh, well, it was. Was that horse or was that the guy that was horse? Yeah.
So when I don't know how much of that you can remember, to be honest. But
We'd like to know. It sounds very interesting.
But if I can just jog your memory, my past life, who I was in that past life, died in that corner, in a tunnel that was down there.
Can we see that corner?
Oh, that is fascinating. Yeah.
So that's where I was. That's where I died in that life.
So can you explain that life? Who was you?
I've never. Well, all I know from that past life was I was a Druid priest here.
Okay.
But I've never really gone into it any further.
We should do a regression with you and see what you can confirm.
That'd be interesting.
We did you sat on that stone, didn't you? And we did your attunement, or we started the attunement, and then there was he wasn't Civil War, but he was big and hairy. And I just said to you, just stay where you are, keep your eyes closed. And there was a spirit, and I don't know what it was, he looked like a big giant Viking, but I wouldn't, and he had a big sword, and he was coming down with his sword. But the bubble of energy just protected us, and it was like, you're doing the symbols, it's like, just don't move, and
Well, I left it in that corner in case the camera picks anything up.
So some of the other energies that were here during my masters with the monks that came walking down the hill. I don't know if you can show people up the hill slightly, Julie.
Yeah.
But I'm always drawn up there, to be honest. But we said they were like monks, weren't they?
Yeah.
That came walking down the hill, almost like they came to watch and protect.
Well, when we were walking up, we said, didn't I said we'd be watched, there's lots of people there.
Yeah.
So, as long as you go to these places with respect and love and honour, then it's a good thing.
When you were talking earlier, Glenn, there was an energy that came in through the gate here, quite a masculine energy that came in.
Okay.
I felt actually it was just coming to just see what was happening. But I think there's a few energies around.
I'm aware of my spirit guide. He's stood behind me and he's got both his hands on my shoulders and he's kind of like keeping me outside of the centre, really. I'm just aware of these hands keeping me back. So there must be a reason. I'm sure he'll tell me later. He's just said, it's to keep you safe, you fool. Okay, thanks. Okay. Yeah, he's telling me something about sprites being here, nature spirits, and causing all manner of mayhem and mischief. And not out of malice, just for fun, joviality, and also to keep the vibrations up.
Did you hear that then?
I think there's a squirrel up there or something.
Oh.
Saw a squirrel there.
I thought I saw that, but then it was just gone.
Yeah, it's like a black silhouette, wasn't it? Just.
I mean, even places like this, you come to honour and stuff, but just look at how they're built as well. I used to be a builder, so I'm really into stuff like this, and it's like looking at the bottom stones and how they've changed, and where the posts went in above the window, which was obviously the roof, and then the wood plinths and that went across. So I like to look at things like that as well when it comes to it, because it's and all the joists with the holes where the joists went and stuff, and how the stones that put in them windows. I mean, those stone panels, those sandstone panels that are put in instead of the glass, they'd have taken some putting in, and the mortar wasn't like what we use.
Look at the inside of that wall there, Angela, where you can see where it is literally where it's bare there, and I envision, I don't know why, I just get the feeling of almost like remains in the walls.
Well, they'll absorb the vibration of everything that's gone on. So one of the things you can do is put your hands on the wall, and it will take you back in time, and you can see and feel.
It'll be interesting to see what we pick up, though, won't it? And see if we can.
Also, with this location being fairly remote, and we had to do a little bit of a trek to get up here. With you mentioning the building and the building materials, it would have been quite a hassle, I should imagine, to get all this up here.
Yeah, it's quite slope, it's quite a slope up there, and the fact that it's up here out of the way, there's not any houses around it or anything like that. The people coming, well, obviously with the Druid it would be out of the way, but for the church, the Christians and that, they'd have had a little bit of a trek.
Yeah.
And the muddiest, can you imagine in the long frocks getting up here because the water runs down, so they've been pretty wet when they go. And it can't have held very many if you look how big it is. It's smaller than Euston Church.
Would that be part of their ritual? The like a penance almost, walking up the hill, a bit of a pilgrimage in order to get here. Burn off those bad thoughts or whatever they've been experiencing.
For me, I suppose there wasn't many people in the area, would there, going back, so you wouldn't need a great big church to hold loads of people.
I am aware that there's lots of creatures watching us, with
we've
lots
got
of
a lot of
birds.
company.
There's a spring here as well.
Okay.
Just on, obviously that's why the path is so muddy. So that would have actually been the water source outside the church for the villagers. So people would have probably come and fetched the water, would they, do you think, at the same time as coming to church?
On the way out, maybe, cleansing of the mind and then taking the water
spring
back
water would have been quite, clean and pure. It really is getting a lot noisier than when we first came
everything,
up.
isn't it? Yeah.
It's not.
You'd think it would
it's not the
actually be
nighttime
quieter.
song, is it?
Is that farming equipment or something?
Sounds like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Does anybody want to put their hand on the wall and see what they pick up?
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Why not? Let's have a go. So,
So just fell over it.
Quick, get that on camera. Do it again, Ange.
Who's the first aider?
Do that again.
I'm a paediatric first aid, so I'm a 10-year child.
Oh dear.
oh, I'm starting to feel the energy now building up. it feels conflicted. One minute I'm feeling this intense feeling of love and heightened vibrations, and next minute I'm feeling conflicted as well, like an egotistical conflict between two males who were jostling over who was going to take charge of this place. And there was an older gentleman that felt he was priority because of being older and having the wisdom there, and there was a younger man who wanted to take that opportunity away from him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing the term sacred rites as well.
Okay.
And I'm also seeing, well, I'm being told, plague victims. And I'm seeing people with black
Right.
marks on their face and their neck and on their forearms as well. And I feel as though that they sought refuge in this place. Although they wasn't allowed in the building, I feel as though something was left outside. And now I'm starting to feel a little bit dizzy. Feeling the energy moving me from the centre of the building as I'm swaying again. And I feel as though I want to start chanting, because I can hear a chant in the background.
Right. Do you know what the chant is?
I'm trying, I can't understand the words, but I can hear the tune. It's like something along those lines. I don't know.
It's a bit like a Gregorian chant,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I'm also being told bloodletting as well. And as I said that, I saw what to me I would describe as a goat. I just saw the facial features of a goat.
I assume that's pre-Church of England.
Yeah.
Then.
Druid.
Yeah. And nothing was wasted, I'm just being told.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing the horns being used as like some sort of drinking utensil of the animal. The hide was used, but also they honoured the spirit of the animal when it left its body. And I'm seeing the blood of the animal being put on the walls,
Oh, right.
like not like in, you know, like you would write a symbol.
Yeah.
Well, it's been wrote on the walls in a symbol.
Can you see the symbols?
There's one I can see. It's like a circle, and it's got like, it's almost as if two dots there where someone's got their fingers and gone like that. So they've drawn the circle, done two dots underneath it. And there's another symbol where it's two lines like that. Again, like someone's wrote it with the fingers. And then there's like an archway over the top of it. So down like that, an arch over.
I can see you seem to be getting something, Kathie. Are you okay? Because you've sat down, haven't you? Actually.
I'm alright.
Yeah?
Yeah, just very dizzy.
Yeah?
Just felt sorry.
It's okay, no, it's
Just
fine.
went-
Yeah.
I'm alright. I just went really dizzy. I think I got the plague thing earlier in another visit. Sorry, that's why I was saying to you.
Oh,
yes, it was
okay.
out there. It was out there because where the arms thing came from was that's where people congregated outside. They weren't allowed in the church because they were unclean, but they were allowed to collect outside, and they would
wow.
stand in that. Where if you, I don't know whether
Just
you
out
can.
there.
Yeah, I don't know whether you can
Yeah.
show that. There's
Yeah,
like an
okay.
Like a vestry almost.
like
isn't it?
yeah, it's almost like as you're coming in through the door. So I've come before, haven't I? And I've seen like an old person sat there with a child and trying to give the child to the man at the door and saying, please take this child, and the person was full of plague and they were trying to hand the child over. So I've got that on a previous visit. So when you picked up on that in that doorway,
Fantastic.
I thought, yes, that's something I've received before. Yeah, I think the dizziness was the conflicting energy. I feel, because I just stepped away from here as you were talking,
Yeah.
Glenn, and I feel where the tripod is stood, that's almost in the centre of the portal.
It is,
which
yeah.
would actually make sense because churches were built on ley lines. So if you imagine the ley lines going almost like horizontal, that would be where they crossed.
Yeah.
And water is, we felt water under there, and as Ange said, that would be a source of the spring, and the spring comes out over there. So that centre there would be very much the centre of all the energy portals where you are. So I think that's why we're being asked to step back.
Yeah.
Personally, that's just what I feel. I mean, I have been here with my six, haven't I? And done
Yes.
divining. And
Yeah, we've doused here.
I've
haven't we?
doused
Yeah.
here, and when I doused here, it actually, just strangely enough, exactly where you put your tripod,
Wow.
that's where the centre was.
It's
for the
weird that
dowsing.
I naturally felt drawn to put it there.
Yeah, but you've been asked to step away from that by your guide, so that sort of, I know I feel like I'm talking about past times, but it's all fitting in with.
I mean,
what
obviously,
we've
I'm
picked up.
standing here. The only thing I felt is like really light on my feet, as if I'm like lifting or something.
Yeah.
I sort of did that.
Yeah, you did.
Effect.
Whereas I was like thrown back.
Yeah.
I felt that. So I believe the energies here are really strong. I agree with what Glenn says about the conflicting, but I think the conflicting as well is because it was used in ancient times and Christian. So I believe
Which
that
is
they
why there's a
both
conflict
there.
there.
Feel that it's their sacred site.
Of course.
A bit like Jerusalem is now. You know, the Muslims think it's
yeah.
theirs, the Jews think it's theirs, the Christian thinks it's theirs. And I feel the same about this site, that the Druids still believe that it's their land, which is the goats and the...
Ah, okay.
Does that resonate with
Does
you,
that
Glenn?
resonate with what you're
that
saying?
conflict, or did you feel it was between?
I think he picked it up
Two-
between two
yeah.
separate people, but I'm thinking
Yeah,
the goat
that-
thing would make sense.
Yeah, I did see like more of what we would class as like modern vicar, like people.
When you were
two gentlemen.
yeah. Do you know when you were talking? When you were talking about that earlier, I thought it sounds like I'd got the
dog
vision
collars,
of like a church warden, really, or verger type, somebody that saw himself as, or saw themselves as like the caretakers of the actual church.
I got the vision of the two gentlemen. One was slightly older in years, and the other one felt like somebody in the 30s who thought it was his time to take over, and the older gentleman wasn't ready to let go, and so he was doing his best to undermine him, so he would take over the role.
I wonder if that's, if you're picking up on that transition from this church to that church.
How do you mean?
Right, possibly.
Well, when
on
that church was built just down the hill, wasn't
I
it?
see, yeah.
And then this one became unused.
Right, oh, okay, yeah.
I'm now getting a vision of pigs were kept in here as well at one time. I'm seeing the building without, like it is now, without the roof, but full of pigs in here as well. And I can actually smell pig manure as well, given that. And an unwashed, unclean gentleman, almost like a vagrant, but as I'm seeing him, he looks like he belongs in like sort of the medieval times with the clothes he's wearing, but I'm seeing him in that corner over there, and he's kind of like resting, but ill at the same time. His hair's all matted, unshaven, and I'm being told poisoning. There's something about poisoning him, and him being told forest craft, where you would forage for food, and it feels like he's ate something that he shouldn't have done.
Poisonous, yeah, like a berry or something.
Yeah, it's, but I can visualise him in that corner over there. I'm now being taken back way back where they wouldn't have used any chairs whatsoever. I'm just seeing straw on the floor, and people would come in and literally sit on the straw. I'm seeing like some sort of altar, but it's not like we would imagine. It's over there, and it's like heavy stone. You know, like when you see Stonehenge, it's like big clumps of stone, and someone would stand behind that. And I am seeing like grain, like a bag of grain being placed on there, almost like an offering of some description. I'm seeing these bags of grain being spilt onto the tops of these stones. And I'm seeing, I don't know if priest is the right word, but I'm seeing this gentleman. Excuse me, I'm treading on my wires. I'm seeing this gentleman there who stood behind it, and he's got some sort of knife, and he's cutting a line in the wheat, and he's dividing one to one side, one to the other, so it creates a path. But I feel as though he's doing this to illustrate a parable that he's telling to the congregation, because a lot of them didn't understand the words he was using, so he used the method of symbolism for those that didn't understand.
Wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, of course, yeah, dividing, yeah. And there's something else he's got. There's these two great big gentlemen that stood here in the doorway, one either side, both quite hairy, big beards. They're wearing like thick, heavy sheepskin pelts on them. All looks like it's handmade, obviously, and they feel like almost like they're bouncers, some sort of protectors of this area. And one has an axe and the other has a sword, but it's not the swords that we would be familiar with. It's quite wide like that. So with one swoop, with both hands, it could literally take a head off or something of that nature. And I'm seeing the guy with the sword is stood here behind me, and the guy with the axe is stood there near Julie there. I don't feel as though they speak English as we speak now. I'm just hearing somebody say they speak the mother tongue, whatever that is, but they are nodding in agreement, but they're looking on to us now as we're here, and they're allowing us to do this, but they're still keeping a watchful eye on us. What's everybody else picking up by?
I was just thinking that the mother tongue would be Celtic, wouldn't it? Would it?
I've no idea.
Originally,
Not sure, actually.
because the modern English is based on Anglo-Saxon French,
yeah.
isn't it? You've been very quiet, Annie.
Yeah, what have
Picking
you
up on
been
different
picking up?
energies.
Yeah.
Just quite a few bits really. I picked that conflict between the two reverends, or reverend and whoever he was. That is a repeat pattern, because I got the similar thing, only it was an elderly gentleman, beard going bald, in a abbot, and there was a younger man exactly the same age as you described, and he was really giving the older gentleman some words. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but it felt like a repeat pattern. We've had a gentleman with us since we started. I've just been waiting, but he looks like, you know, when they were in the war and they'd have the not a cagoule, but whatever they covered themselves over when it was chucking down with rain. So over here I've got this gentleman here, and it's raining on me. And you can hear it bouncing on his I don't know what they call him, cagoule, poncho or whatever. But he is war, but he's not English, he's American.
Okay.
So, but he's been here for quite a while, but he just wants to go home, so we'll sort him out. But it is raining, I can hear it really loudly. It's like really pitty pattering on his covering. And the guy with the sword looks like the one that took a swipe at us.
Okay.
Oh dear, he's back.
I've had
Have you had a word with
I've had a
him?
word with him, and I said, you know, if we stepped on toes, we're sorry and what have you.
He's very tall.
He's
He's taller than that door frame.
Yeah, he's a bit of a beastie in the nicest possible way. But these places do have the guardians, you know. And
The animals have gone quieter again now.
yeah,
Mm.
A little bit. There's not quite so much going on there.
it's still very, very peaceful.
Yeah. While it's gone a little bit, while it has turned a little bit peaceful, do you think it might be a perfect time for a quick meditation?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
From Kathie.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kathie, you'd have to take Angie's microphone if that's okay, and just clip it on facing down on
Let's
onto your
just
lapel.
do a swap.
Swap over.
Thank you.
I think while the camera's been going round, we've actually had some nice shots of the inside of the chapel.
Mm.
Really,
Thanks
haven't we?
to the camera lady.
Yeah.
Hi,
Thank
Julie.
Thank you, Julie. Say hello. Say
Hello.
thank you, Julie.
My pleasure.
We're letting Kathie's brains out. I've had to take her hat off now.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, completely changing tact. I think I'd like to draw everybody's attention now to outside the chapel walls, but not too far outside, because if we look, actually if we look at this tower, there's a holly tree trying to take over. There's the ivy. There's, I don't know what that is it a small beech? And there's some more holly trees over here. So we can see, as Glenn said earlier, that nature does reclaim the land back to itself. In the trees, I went for a wander around while the guys were setting up all the technical stuff, because everybody knows I love the trees, and I did notice there's quite a few varieties. There's a couple of chestnuts, there's oaks, there's obviously the pine trees as we're going up. And it just reminded me of the course that Phil and I did recently called Shinrin Yoku, which is about forest bathing. And really, it's what a lot of us who are spiritually connected do naturally anyway. But it just made me think how in these times it's difficult to reconnect with ourselves. And I think it's really important to walk mindfully when we're out in nature. And that doesn't have to be complicated. It could be literally just not having electronic equipment on, you know, turning our phones off, or at least putting them on silent, and just walking and being in that moment. Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Vietnamese Buddhist, talks about walking as if your feet are kissing the earth. And
nice,
I love
isn't
that.
it?
I love
Yeah.
that sensation. I love that feeling. And, you know, walk gently on the earth. And that's what we need to do, because she is our mother. And it's the way we connect with that. And in the Shinrin Yoku, one of the things that it talks about, a very simple meditation, which I will talk you through in a moment, is when you're asking people to walk in the woods, you're asking them to just concentrate on their senses. So just to think about what they can smell, and to just think for a moment. So that's what I'd like you to do now. We're going to just do it, concentrating on all our senses, if that's okay.
Sounds lovely,
Yeah.
Kathie.
Thank you.
Okay, so for a moment, I'd just like you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose, because in the Qigong elemental breathing, it's nose, nose for earth. So in through your nose and out through your nose. One more. In through your nose and out through your nose. And now I'd just like you to bring your attention to your body, the muscles in your body, and any tension. If your shoulders are hunched, just lift them and let them sink. And then feel your feet on the ground. And if that involves you lifting your soles of your feet or your heels so you feel fully grounded, then do that at this moment in time. And just feel at this moment that the earth is holding you. now draw your attention to your 5 senses. So first of all, we're going to think about our sense of smell. I am overwhelmed at this moment by the sense of the wet, damp earth. I love that smell. Is it plethora, the smell of the water, the earth after rain? I absolutely love that smell. And to me, that just reminds us that we're being held and nurtured, and the earth itself contains so much life. So for a moment, I just want you to breathe in, whatever it is. It could be the smell of earth. You might be picking up on the smell of the pine trees, even of the sheep's poo that Glenn so nicely pointed out to us as we're coming in. Just be aware and be present in that moment. Right, now to move to our sensation of touch. What can we feel? At the moment, it's only our soles of our feet touching the earth. If we were doing forest bathing, I would probably encourage the listener to touch the bark of a tree. But at this moment in time, we have just our soles of the earth. So feel that connection with the earth. Is the ground soft? Is it giving? Or is it hard? Is it sandy? Just feel how that feels beneath the soles of your feet. In an ideal world, it'd be lovely to do this with bare feet and just feel the sensation of the twigs and the small stones being picked up between the soles of your feet. But just feel that connection between yourself and the earth, and take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, feel all that tension seeping again through the soles of your feet. I'd like you now to bring your attention to your sense of hearing. What can you hear other than my voice? I can hear the cows and the fields behind us. I can also hear the last bit of bird song, the odd rustle in the trees. Whatever you can hear, just think about that. Be present in that moment. I'd like you to take a deep breath in, and when you breathe out, let your breath become part of the noise in the environment. Let it be one with nature's heartbeat and nature's pulse. If you have your eyes shut, I would just like you to open them and just find one thing around you to focus on. That could be a twig on the earth, it could be a leaf, it could be the walls of this chapel. Whatever it is, I would just like you to focus your attention on that for 3 deep breaths. And as you're doing so, just think about the message you can gain from that. If it's a leaf that's fallen on the ground, we're reminded of the changes of the seasons and the changes in our life cycle. If it's a twig, are we reminded of the usefulness of wood, how it returns back to the earth to be a basis for new life? Or if it's a chapel, does it remind us that we are all connected? And as this church holds all the ancestral memories of the people who've gone before, and we've picked up on the energies, so too the cells in our bodies. We have been stardust. We carry all our ancestral memories in our own bodies. Whatever it is you're focusing on, think of what that message is for you today. It'll be hard to think about the sense of taste, but strangely enough, I am going to ask you to do that. I'm going to ask you to open your mouths and breathe in through your mouths. And strangely enough, you will have a taste. I have a strange metally taste in my mouth, and I think that's the smell of the earth and the damp air just beginning to settle on my tongue. And I want you to think and focus on how that makes you feel. Maybe the simple lesson from that is just a simple reminder that we are alive. And now for the final few breaths, I'd like you to rest your eyes again and focus on your breathing. I'm not going to dictate to you how you breathe, whether it be nose to nose or nose to mouth, but in a way that you're conscious of your connection with the earth. And I'd like you to, today in your own time, take 3 deep breaths and allow your body to be still and relaxed in that moment. When you're feeling ready, start to bring some movement back into your body. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Make sure you're completely grounded before you open your eyes, because as we said here, the energies are quite loud. They're quite buzzing, really. Before I hand it over the microphone, I'd just like to say, if we were doing this as a forest bathing activity, I would probably suggest that we found a tree, select a tree and rest against it, and that way you can feel the complete immersion in nature. But that was just a slight example of what we'll do. Right, that's my bit done, Philip, that I so happily volunteered for.
Kathie, that was lovely, thank you.
It's really nice. Yeah.
I was drawn to, I was going to pick them up, but I just couldn't bring my focus away from these 2 seeds here. Looking at the camera, it's gone really dark, actually, while we've been here, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But the 2, we used to use them as helicopters, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Was one of them. But I was reminded of cycles, actually, and I was just thinking about cycles and how we are in that cycle at the minute, and just everything coming back full circle, I suppose.
Oh,
First,
how
Very appropriate.
Was it just me? But I was aware during that meditation, I was swaying and I felt pulled backwards and forwards to the centre of this building. And at one point, I thought, I'm going to hit the deck in a minute, because I felt my knees just go like that. But because I was grounded, that solid, my feet didn't move an inch.
To be totally honest, obviously I had my eyes open, so I watched you, and that's what made me say, be careful to ground yourself, because I really noticed you and Julie were both swaying. Julie was going more side to side, and you were going backwards and
I was
forwards.
also itching. There's something touching my head nearly all the way through. That's why I couldn't actually
I was the same.
go.
I was the
It's
same,
like
and
itching, and I was,
I couldn't work out if I was just being eaten by
Yeah,
No.
midges.
midges. You know?
No, I think it's just
But at one
something kept
point, it
touching
was
my head.
all over my third eye.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to go with it, and I did get the taste of like an earthy taste, actually.
I will say obviously I've not got any sense of taste or smell at the minute. So
There's a leaf that's just come down there.
yeah.
Very appropriately.
Well, I sat over there by the doorway, and you noticed it. Do you remember me saying about the video we have of the trees all banging together?
Yes.
And just as you were finishing, the trees over there all started to sway, and they were banging together, and you could hear them. So, and it stopped when he stopped.
Wow.
So yeah.
It was a really nice meditation. I did enjoy that.
It's
Thank you,
nice, yeah.
Kathie.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
Just really quickly, that meditation is actually an adaptation of something I use with children that I work with, a grounding technique, and we call it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So they have to say 5 things that they can see, 4 things they can touch, and we go down all the senses.
It was good.
And for number 1, I always say 1 deep breath, because to try and get them to taste something in a classroom environment. So it was a bit of an amalgamation of that and forest bathing. I have to confess there was a bit of a mixture of that in there.
I'd like to hear more of those actually. You know, maybe you could come in again and give us some more
It'd be nice to be able
meditations.
to do that under a tree, to be honest, and get people to actually meditate more about the tree. Anyway, I do not want to conclude. I think it should be Philip's turn.
I have really enjoyed being out on location. And it's nice that we've all been able to get out, and we've come out with guests. It's lovely that we've been able to come out with guests.
5 of us tonight.
So any final words, Glenn?
This has been a revelation actually. Never been here before. You know, it's tucked away in the middle of nowhere, and I'm glad I've came, and I'm glad we followed your suggestion and coming here tonight, and also having the lovely guests. Angie share her wisdom, and of course Kathie as well.
I'll just give you a wave.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Kathie.
Thank you for having us, and
Our pleasure as always.
Yeah. Namaste, everyone.
namaste.
Namaste. Goodbye, everyone. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.